The topic that for this week is we're bringing regional mid-size funding in focus. And, also in terms of e-commerce enabled premiumization beyond tier one, those are the sort of interlinking themes that we're taking today. So in the last 6 months, there's been a wave of regional mid-sized brands that have raised fresh capital to scale and challenge India's FMCG incumbents. I won't get into the details of the financials, but like right from a Lahori Zeera in Chandigarh to a Zoff spices in Raipur, all of these are in fact challenging FMCGs. And the analysis that is emerging out of this is that premiumization is now taking root in India's smaller towns. If you go back 2024, PwC notes tier 2 plus markets are driven by the aspiration to access premium brands that are not locally available. Amazon 2024 data shows 45% year-on-year growth in beauty, along with strong upticks in fashion and electronics in smaller cities, which I think becomes relevant for us given some of our brands in the portfolio are catered to this. E-commerce has emerged as a powerful enabler in the wave of this premiumization. An Anarock May 2025 report projects that small towns will contribute to 65% of online shopping activity by 2030. And just recently, just yesterday, a report was released which said that India's mid-year online sales saw a 19% rise in order volumes year on year, driven by a significant 21 to 22% growth in tier 2, 3 cities. So at Lightbox, we've also seen these broader trends play out in our portfolio, and our brands are now innovating to meet aspirations of the value-conscious consumers in smaller towns. So I think first to get a general view, there's been a host of VC funds that are dedicated to startups serving the aspirations of tier 2, 3, and beyond that are emerging in the wake of these trends. And how do you think Lightbox is calibrating its future investment approach in this regard?
Yeah, so look, I think first of all, it's not surprising to see that these markets are now turning towards brands as a product that they'd like to buy. I think that in general, distribution has been fragmented forever in India, and I think that's made it difficult for brands to scale. And those who've had distribution have done really well. So whether it was the Maricos, the Godreges, the HULs, they've all built distribution networks and figured out how to get their products out there. What's happened now with online is that distribution has become available to many people. So the fact that this segment of the population has been interested in products that are branded or that serve their aspirational needs in different ways, I don't think is really surprising. I think the thing that's actually just naturally occurring, which occurs in any economy when distribution starts to equalize or get available in more places, is that more brands start to compete for that. And I think you see that whether you look at that as tier 2 and tier 3 cities, or whether you look at that as different SEC groups within even tier 1 cities. And the idea that you can start to address bases in different ways. And then once you start to try to address, even within a metro, different parts of the socioeconomic pyramid there, and start to say that, look, I can now deliver brands to this group here. If you're providing it at that price point, it then is only natural that you would try to find other segments that are at that price point as well. So I think for us as well, this is an important aspect of how we'll look moving forward at what segments make sense. Now, the challenge will be, though, that margins will be a problem. And margins are always a problem when you start to get to a lower and lower price point. And I think that will be the thing that we'll have to watch out for as we think about it. So I'm not surprised to see that beauty and personal care is one of the growing segments here. Margin structures are good there. You can address varying customers and varying distribution channels and challenges with a decent margin product. But I think that will continue to be the starting point of our conversations to say, does the product have margins that allow it at the price point that it wants to reach customers at? So yeah, I think that's probably how we'll look at this. But it's a relevant segment. I also think, by the way, that there's a ongoing segment that exists in the more mass premium side that we've been operating in. And I think that base continues to demand greater quality, better service. And I think that segment is actually also able and willing to pay for it. So I think that there will be a need for us to consider which direction do we want to get deeper into. We will definitely evaluate what's going on at this side, but I think we've understood well how to address the mass premium segment also.
Yeah. And I think I'd like to take a moment and understand what's happening in the portfolio because a lot of these trends are reflective in the portfolio as well. This shift, right, of tapping into the underserved markets, when you look at D2C Femtech Nua, they have entered now the rupees 8 to 14 pad per light, which is targeting the mass premium segment, like you mentioned. And so I have two parts, two questions following this. Like, is the brand banking on an aspirational spillover from its D2C base? Because Noah has always been looked at a product which is aspirational, it's not the Whispers or the Stay Frees of the world. So, what are your views on that? And secondly, I also want to understand Lightbox's deep operational engagement with Nua's founding team, which has helped them infuse competitiveness as it looks to provide stiff competition to FMCG players.
Yeah, so I think here, first of all, it is always easier to go from premium down than to go from down to premium. And so I think that Nua is definitely in a good position to be able to start to address a broader base. And this was born just out of, again, natural evolution for the business. They realized that they had penetrated well into online channels. They had started their penetration into modern trade. And then when you start to think about general trade, you realize that you need a lower price product. You need a product that reaches the broader base that general trade as a channel allows you to reach, even if you're staying just in metros. So now, when you start to do that, you have to go back to the drawing board, back to re-engineering the product, which they've done. And they've done an amazing job of being able to bring a high quality product at a price point that works. And then now start to create the distribution for it. So I think that that journey is, again, things that happen in the natural evolution of businesses are probably the best things to have happen. And this wasn't a specific effort to say, let's go to tier 2 and tier 3. This was okay, we've understood the channels we're in. Now let's get into the next one. And therefore that next channel demands a certain product. Now, for us and our role in this, it was a great opportunity for us to both use the experiences that we've had. So Ashish, who's been working with us across the portfolio, comes from a strong FMCG background, having spent 10 years at Marico, has been around distribution and its opportunities and challenges for a decade. And after that, spent many years at True North helping other companies with the similar kinds of opportunities. So when he stepped into this position and saw Nua's situation, I mean, it was just so comforting to have somebody who actually understood what the challenges were going to look like and be a sounding board and a voice to help these guys navigate through it. I think one of the first things we realized actually was that the brand packaging needed some change. I mean, I think it worked for when we were a direct-to-consumer business, primarily selling in online channels. But the minute you're going offline in retail, the packaging needs to stand out. It needs to provide a little bit more direction to what the product actually is, as opposed to being a subtle indicator of what it is. So these shifts took place, and between Ravi and the rest of the team at Nua and Ashish and the team at Lightbox, I think we were able to work together closely to really look at how do you now take a product that was just premium and subtle to now being more mass and being a little bit more direct. And that's where my wave and the packaging and the pricing and everything kind of came together.
Yeah. And next up is Zeno. Of course, Zeno has been in the news in the past couple of weeks because they are expanding into tier 2 markets beyond Bombay and Pune. But I think we are going a step further, right? We're not just expanding, we are also going denser, uh, targeting specific micro markets and also scaling nationally through e-commerce. I think 30% of their revenue will come from e-commerce. I mean, that's what the announcements have stated. And what I really want to do is tap into the density experiment that we are calling this at Lightbox. And how do you think that is complementing Zeno's online strategy now?
So, look, I'll put it this way. I think that density is a necessity in this business. If we look at the pharmacy space, the upside that comes from being on every corner is the trust that's built from customers, therefore your lower CAC. And I think there was a study done that said that for both Sephora and Walgreens, they saw 25 to 35% lower CAC in dense clusters versus when they had scattered expansion. So, and those are beauty and pharmacy brands. And so I think Zeno as a pharmacy brand, again, will benefit very much from the fact that they are setting themselves up to own micro markets. And once you own a micro market and you're ever present there, I think all your costs start to become a lot more efficient. And I think that in any distribution business, the primary objective has to be, how do I keep bringing my cost structure down? And so density does that. Now, I think as we're doing that on the density side, what's becoming apparent to us as well is these same customers are also ordering online from us. So an online from us can mean delivery from our existing retail outlets, which is fine, and we do that. And I think that's a necessity as part of what omni-channel means nowadays. But because we figured out how to serve that customer online, we realized it wasn't that much more difficult to figure out how to serve a broader audience just online, and that online can give us direction now as to where to set up offline. And I think that that's a playbook that we've seen, and we spent a lot of time talking to different people around the space that Lenskart, for example, has used very well. They're able to understand demand and what it looks like from their online experiences, and then take that to then inform how they'll look at rolling out their offline. And so Zeno is very much following that same footsteps and understanding now from what we see happening online, what should be the next state, what should be the next city, how should we build out there, and we have a great and unique value proposition online. We have the cheapest medicines available, high quality, generic, effective medicines available at the lowest cost. And I think that that proposition of high quality medicines at a low price is what will kind of be a leading indicator for them and a driver to create awareness for what the brand can offer as they start to think about how the offline strategy, and then the offline will keep playing on that density as we go from market to market.